Okay, here is the tutorial for how to make these dudes. Don't look at his legs, I did something wrong, and that's okay. Like this. And I don't have another example somewhere, but that's fine. Okay, things you are going to need for this that are necessary. You're gonna need scissors, fabric, any fabric will do. I have this stuff. You could use a t-shirt, anything else like that, that's fine. And the pattern that I have, this is part of it. I don't know where the rest is. I think I have pieces attached everywhere, but that's okay. It's fine. So you need this, fabric, some scissors, a needle. There's a needle in here. Trust, one of these is a needle. It is going to require a little bit of hand sewing, stuffing of some sort. It doesn't need to be polyfill. It can be like something else cut up, or like a ribbon or a plastic bag, whatever, you know, floats your boat, whatever you have at the moment. And some thread. If I think of something else, I will make mention of it. Alright, let's go. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is lay your fabric out. Make sure you have enough area for, you know, at least 2 of these pieces, 1 of these pieces, and like 4 of these each. But I'm lazy, so I'm going to show you how I cut them out. The head's easy. It's just a circle. You cut it out. For the body, you're going to want to fold it in half, whatever you like, fold it in half, and then put body here. And then I like to pin it down. You do not have to, but it makes it a lot easier. And for the legs and the arms, you're going to want to fold it over like this, so there's 4 layers of fabric in there. You might be able to see. And then you're going to put your arm down, and your leg. Honestly, if one of them comes out longer than the other, don't worry about it. They're basically the same shape, and it turns out fine in the end anyway. Try to pin it. I like to pin mine close to the edge, because then I can just fold over my pieces when I want to sew them together, but you do not have to. I'm going to stop. I've messed up this leg about twice now. That's another thing you need to make these, is more patience than you think you have, because they get annoying, especially if you're talking and doing it at the same time. And head will go like somewhere here on like 1 piece of fabric. So cut those out, and we will move on to the next part. Okay, once you've got all of your pieces all sorted out, you can take the your pattern off. I made 2 of these circles because I already had half a doll over here, which I'm just going to add that to because it's already there. So there we go, there's my circle. So that's your head piece, body piece. Take it out, remove this, and you're going to end up, since I cut it on the end, they're stuck together so that I can just fold them like this when I start sewing them. So that's why it looks like that, but I'll set that out right there. Arms are the same way as the body are. They are going to look like that. And I like to put my arms up here because I forget which ones are arms and which ones are legs when I am doing these. So same thing with your legs. Right there, down there, and your head goes up here. You'll notice the head is 1 piece. That's for a reason, which I'm going to show you next. Okay, for this headpiece, it's just 1 piece. So we're going to actually do a running stitch. If you don't know what a running stitch is, I don't know, Google it. Around this, and we're just going to pull it tight so it kind of like cinches up into a little ball, except there will be stuffing in that ball and it'll be a head. So you're going to want to find some thread. I'm using small machine thread because that's what I have, and also because I think it looks a little neater if you don't use big thick embroidery thread. But it doesn't matter because they're just little guys anyway. So how much? I don't know. I like do like a couple of like this stretch worth. That's not visible on camera, but you know what? That's okay. I do about 2 of those. Then I cut it. And then I find my needle. I like to use the ones with a small hole for the non-embroidery thread. Tip, if you cannot get it in the needle, you can lick it. It might go through smoother, and I did that first try, so everyone should clap for me, because that was cool and impressive. Okay, so to tie the the thread on your needle, I like to run like 2, so that it's just a little thicker, a little more sturdy. And then you put them together at the end, and you just tie 1 normal knot. And then I wouldn't recommend leaving much of a tail, because either you're just kind of have to cut it off later, or it just kind of sticks out and looks funny. But eventually, if the camera focuses, I'm not sure if it is because I can't see it, but eventually you'll end up with a knot at the end, and then you can start doing your circle. So on the circle, I like to start on the wrong side, which is just the fabric that you don't want showing. Right side, the stuff that's facing out, the stuff that's going to end up being like a head and the outside of your arm. Wrong side, the other side. Mine's easier to tell because it's got polka dots on it. But I like to, if I can use my needle, I like to run it up through the wrong side so that the tail of it's inside, and then you're just going to do a little in, and then out, and then in, and then out. And you're going to do that. Make sure to pull your thread. And if it gets in a knot and gets tight, either untangle the knot or take out the thread and start again, because it's fine, and we're going to be very relaxed about this whole process, because at the end of it, there will be a little guy, and you don't want that little guy to be made with stress. You want him to be made with love, which is why I'm fumbling my fabric around right now, because there's nothing more lovesome than making a mistake while you are making a guy. Oh, one more important thing. You can see I'm about to do my last thing. Don't do a stitch into where you started. Do it just about where you ended, so I'll pull that through. Because if you do it into where you started, you won't be able to tug on this and get that bunching that we're looking for. So make sure to keep that in mind. And actually, while I have you here, we can start putting the stuffing in. So I like to just pull that thread a little bit until it's like it can go around my thumb, and then I'll distribute all these little wrinkles a little bit. You want to make sure that your right side is out, because this is the part where we're going to be putting the head stuffing in. And I've got a bag of it right here. In terms of how much to put in there, enough. You can take some out or add some as you go. So you take your little thing, and then you just want to do your best to ball it up into as small as it will go. And then you can, like I just took some out, I'll probably add a little bit of that back in. Because you want a firm head. You do not want a squishy head, because that means there's no brain in there. So you take your little ball, and you want to try to work it inside of your little bag here. And it's probably not going to fit all the way. I just want you to be able to see the edges of your stitching. And then same thing, you just pull that in, kind of stuff as you go. Drop the head like it is. So it's like a little head-shaped dumpling. So then, and pull it taut, but not all the way yet, because you want to make sure that you are not getting a ton of wrinkles on either side. I like to form my head a little bit like it is a sofa pillow. And then this is the fun part, closing up the head, as in the part I don't like to do. I go directly across from wherever my string is, and I will just pull it nice and taut. And then from here, I like to go up. You're basically making like a little plus sign, a little X, to kind of close off your head. I'm not sure if you can see that. I can see that though, which is, good, as I'm the one sewing. And then if you're lazy, you do your knot like this, where you just put it through. Well, it's not more laziness, it's just more security. And then you make your knot, go around, hold it taut, bam. And then you can snip that, and then boom, you have a head. Okay, on to the limbs. All right, we're in Limb City here. You've got your body. This piece, the one that says body on it. And what you're gonna want to do is you want to take the wrong side out and fold it until it matches pretty much. And then You can cut this part, you cannot, but eventually it will need cut, so if you don't feel confident throwing your scissors between stitches, go ahead and cut it now, but I'm probably going to end up cutting it later because it's easy and I'm lazy. So what you're going to do is, and I'm using a machine for this, that's what you're attached to, you up there. But you can hand sew this if you want, just do that same running stitch and make sure to tie it off and all that. But end goal, don't sew over top of this part that's already folded. Don't do that, because that's what you're going to use to turn it inside out and eventually stuff the thing. What you're going to want to do is just sew all around these edges. In the pattern, there's a little bit of a seam allowance, so that should be fine. But you're just going to want to sew around the edge of that like this. Okay, that transition didn't work, but that's okay. So it's done, it's folded, and now what I'm going to do is find that little tiny hole I left and slip my scissors in there so that I can cut this thing nice and open so that we have a little hole right here. And then, oh, that's what I didn't mention that you needed at the start. You need a little thing to turn your guy around. I'm using a colored pencil. You can use a marker, you can use a chopstick, you could use anything that is stick-shaped and preferably thin, but not like a pin because the pin will go through. So here you turn it out, do this, so you got a little grab, and then just kind of push it on out. And then I like to like roll it between my fingers a little bit to make sure it's got its shape, and boom, there is your body to go along with the head you just made. Look, you've got like part of a guy. Okay, next part, arms and legs. They're basically the same thing, so I'm just going to show you how to do the arms, and the legs will be the exact same thing, and it'll be very convenient. Same thing, wrong side out when you're sewing. Again, you can cut this if you want, I'm not going to. And then you just sew all around that edge there. Alright, I've got my arm, gonna do the same thing, snip, got a little hole, and then this one's a little tougher obviously because it's smaller, but again, that's okay. We do it anyway. Roll it out, give it a shape, and boom, you have a little arm. And you know, do all the rest of your arms and legs this way. I'm just gonna move straight to the stuffing because I like simplicity. Okay, the arms are a little harder to stuff. They get kind of annoying, so I like to take like the tip of a pencil if you can make your stuffing fit in there, and then stuff it that way. And I don't think that there's enough in there, so I'm going to put more. If you have polyfill, again, if you don't, that's fine. But if you have it and you can't get it to go in, I would suggest folding it over itself to make it a little bit more like regular fabric. And then you kind of just roll that out to make sure the top's back. Roll it between your fingers to make it a little more evenly spread and arm-shaped. And then boom, there's your arm. Oh, and I should say, you want to sew right over this edge here. You can do that just going across. You can do that the same way that you did the head, where you just did a running stitch and then pull that taut, put a knot in it, whatever you want. I just like to go over because I generally don't make clothes where you can see their shoulders anyway. So, yeah, just run over it. Okay, actually, I forgot to stuff the body and show that, so there's that. And then this is the sewn end, just like that. Same as you're gonna do for your arm, which I haven't done yet. Oh, okay, fun little occurrence. I have made a mistake. I sewed this, and it did not match up with this. Just sew over it, just flip it over, and then use whatever part you missed as a guideline, and do it again. 'Cause, Okay, after you finish that up, you should have something that looks like this, with your little head. This is good, this is a good thing. Okay, we're gonna attach the limbs in this order. We're going to do the head first. So put your arms and legs to the side. We're going to do the head. Now, if you still have that needle and thread from earlier, that's how we're going to attach these limbs. So, you know, make your little knot at the end. And then I have a very specific way that I attach the heads because through trial and error, it's just the fastest. I don't know if it's, you know, entirely the best, but it is the fastest, and that's good enough. It stays. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this, And you want to put your needle down through the middle and out through like where the front of the neck would be. You're going to take that, pull it all the way through, and then take your head, find which side you want your face to be on. I'll probably take this one because even though it has wrinkles, it has the smallest. Actually, I lied. I'm going to do right here. And then you kind of find your wrinkle where you want the front of the head to be and put it on. And pull it, but not all the way yet. So we're going to flip this over. So front of the neck and front of the head are connected, and then just like you did to close the head, we're going to go across and not poke ourselves. Pull it up, and then we're going to go through the back of the neck and come out at the side. Again, don't pull it all the way taut, just taut enough. So like there, should look like this. And then while you're doing that, and then you're going to take up through the side and over to the other side, go through. Oh, try not to get your strings twisted like I just did, because that's not fun and nobody has fun doing it. Oh gosh, hold on, let me sort this out. Okay, sorted, we're back to our 3. That's recording, yes it is. Sorted, we are back to our 3. And then you're just going to take your 4th, if I can pick up my needle from the ground. Take your 4th one, and you're going to put it through the other side of the head. And you can run that through anywhere you like. I just ran it through the back. And then you're going to very carefully just pull your string until it's, you know, just, and then just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Try not to pull too hard. And then boom, eventually your head will be on there. And then what I like to do is I like to go like I'm going to make a knot and then let the rest of the loop fall around the head. So it just kind of cinches on. And then I make my actual knot that I'm going to use to tie the thing down. Make the knot, and snip. And then boom, you've got a head on a body. Okay, we're almost done, and to do the arms, I've brought you down here with me because they're also a little bit of a process. So again, take your string. You can't see this string, can you? You can't see this string. Makes me wonder how the rest of the video's been going. But you're gonna take your string, going to tie it in a knot, then stretch out your needle and find it again because it's very small. Oh, hey buddy, what you doing in here? Then you're going to take your arms and your legs. So, which one of these is an arm? Generally, I think the arms look a little bit more bean-shaped, so I'm going to put the arms up here, and we're going to do the legs first. So, you're going to take your leg, and you're going to put a needle through it. Now, it doesn't have to be directly in the middle. In fact, you're going to come back through this leg, so I'd recommend not doing it directly in the middle. Don't mind him, if you can hear him. And then you're going to take your body, so your string connected to your leg. Take your body, and whatever side you want that leg to be on, you're going to put the needle through that side, like so. Is there any better way I can show this? I don't think so. And if I'm not looking at it, I will put my needle the wrong way. So there we go. Okay, and then it comes out the other side. Get it mostly out of the other side, and then you're going to take your other leg and poke that one through as well. So now you've got 2 legs. Warrior Cats reference. Yeah, hi buddy. And then take your needle and just kind of hold that leg on there. And then do a little bit of adjusting until your legs are generally on your dude. And you will still have to hold them because if you don't, they're a little floppy. This one isn't, but this other one is. So you just want to tighten that, and then you can kind of see I got my guy. Oh, that's me. Gross. Got my guy. Then you take your needle again, and you want to go back through that leg that you just came out of, and back through the torso again. So doing something like this. Gosh, well, no, my arm was in the way. The needle's right there. Gonna go back through, back out of your leg, and then again, take your needle, pull it through, and pull it a little taut until you look something like this. Then tie it like so. I've gone around the leg. That was not what I wanted to do, so we're going to loosen that and put it on the leg where it goes. Then give it a snip with your scissors, and boom, you have a guy. One of his legs is shorter than the other, but you know what? That's okay. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you can re-sew it if you'd like, but then you can kind of move the legs up. This one moves up just fine because it's only got one. This one has two, so it's a little more difficult, but yeah, now your guy can sit if he wants to. And then for the arms, and then boom, you've got a guy. He can do things. He can move his arms up and down. Wham! A little dude, just for you. Additional mini tutorial at the end if you want to put eyes on your guy. Here's how I embroider mine in. Gosh, I wish I had better light. Give me a moment. Ah, turn the exposure up. What about them apples? All right. Anyway, embroidery time. Unless your guy's going to be bald, there's not going to be anything on the top of their head, so you can go ahead and push the needle right through the top. And then you kind of just stare at it where you think an eye is going to be. And then you want to try and push your needle out of that hole there. And then so you should have something that looks like this. And you can do this however you want. You could add a button. You could just do a knot, a couple of different knots. You could do a little line. I'm going to do a French knot. Now see, that didn't work. Not very well anyway. So we're actually just going to do the knot method instead because it's just a little easier. And you can do this with actual embroidery thread. I just already happen to have this thread out. So I'm going to do it that way, but so you can just make a bunch of teeny tiny knots and then go back out, not through the exact same hole you came in through the top. I wouldn't make you do that because it's hard. But now you've got a little guy on a string. Then you just tie a little knot on his head, like such. Take your scissors, snippy snippy, and then boom, there you go. Your own little guy to decorate and do whatever you want with.